I'm actively looking for stocks that are a good investment. And in all that research, I come across some stocks that are way overpriced, and just it's a pretty incredible what investors are willing to pay for companies that have a really big price tag, but those companies don't have a lot of free cash flow, or they don't have great earnings per share. And I wanted to share with you a list of companies that I've come across that are just overly priced. And some of these companies a couple of years ago were great investments, but now they're not looking so good. Some of them have a lot of upside potential, but I'm a value investor. You need to show me free cash flow. You need to show me earnings, profits. You need to show me a good trend of growth before I'm willing to put my hard earned money into a stock. So let me take you through a thought process that I have, and then conclude with a list of companies that I've observed are really priced way too high. The stock market has been going up for 16 months, and it's been fun to watch stocks just go up. If you look at just for the past year, stocks are really going up and to the right, and that's great. That's always fun times. The Nasdaq is up 39% in 1 year. The S&P is doing great, up 28%, and the Dow is up almost 18%. Now that's all fine and dandy, but that could create um, a lot of companies being overpriced, especially in certain sectors that are being hyped up. For example, the AI hype. So I wanted to first put that kind of as a backdrop of why do I think certain companies are overpriced. It's really because the market could be overpriced at this point, and a major pullback is in order of 10 to 15% in order to just kind of bring down the prices back to earth and make it so that the market is not getting ahead of itself. In addition to the market being pretty high priced overall, certain sectors have just flourished. Information technology, led by semiconductor, is just off the charts, incredible. Communication services, which have Meta, Netflix in them, it's just doing fantastic. Even consumer discretionary has been flying high. But in those sectors is likely where some companies are really being priced way too high, and they have to come back to the mean. They have to come back to earth. And that's where I think I'm going to end up showcasing a couple companies, are companies that are probably in information technology, communication services, and consumer discretionary. Here are the 7 companies I believe are really overpriced at this time. Starts off with Taiwan Semiconductor. Taiwan Semiconductor is a big foundry that produces most of the chips on Earth. So they're massive. And once upon a time, they were just doing great, and they were generating lots of free cash flow. I owned TSM for a number of years, starting 6 years ago, and did really well with that stock. But they began to really lose their ability to generate free cash, and they also had a big downturn in revenues. Since then, the stock has been rising, but their fundamentals haven't, to the point where I think they're the number one stock that I think is overpriced at this time. Palantir is a company with a lot of fanfare. They were a big software play that was supposed to add a lot of value to its customers. Now they're part of the AI craze, and I think Palantir is overpriced. Tesla, boy, Tesla stock's down big, almost 50% just in the last 12 months. And it's going to get worse. I think their revenues are really going down. Their free cash flows don't support the current stock price, and they still are very overpriced. Digital Realty Trust is a big data center type real estate investment trust, and they were doing quite all right a couple years ago. But this past year, they really caught fire. Their stock price caught fire, and it really took off because the AI craze is really uh, expected that these REITs are going to do really well, which may be the case. I owned Digital Realty Trust. I sold Digital Realty Trust in 2023 just because the AI craze is just creating artificial numbers. Digital Realty Trust is a very overpriced stock. Ulta Beauty is a consumer discretionary company. They were growing really well year after year, but the last year hasn't been so pretty, and they are really overpriced at this time. Broadcom is a semiconductor company. The AI craze has pretty much doubled the stock. It's been such an increase in stock price. I owned Broadcom, sold it in 2023 once it got way above its true valuation and made a good gain. But I continue to see the stock price go up. I continue to see the premium on the stock increase. And it is the sixth most overpriced stock that I've seen. And the last one is Enphase. It's had a really nice rally, especially at the end of 2023. And Enphase is going to have a lot of trouble ahead. Its revenues have really gone down, and they are not growing. They used to be just a free cash flow generating company, but their cash flows have really, really gone down. So now it's the seventh most overpriced stock that I've seen in today's trading. So those are the 7 companies. You could see a video on every one of these companies on my channel with more in-depth analysis of how I look at the company, how I look at their financials. But I thought I'd share that list with you. I don't think a lot of people would argue with me that stock prices are really high right now. And we need to be careful. As good value investors, I need to make sure that I'm buying into stocks that I think are going to go up over time. I still expect there's going to be a good solid pullback. And I think a lot of these stocks that I listed out are going to see their stock prices go down. We'll see what happens. But I wanted to share that list that I've seen of prices that are just way too high. And I expect those stocks are going to really struggle over the next year to 2 years. I hope you found the video interesting, and I hope that you have great success in investing in 2024.